All right, let's take our seats. We'll get started. Let's see. Farik, I see you. Alex, coming up. Perfect. Ed is here. We are all here. Awesome. All right. So again, the class that we just saw was our newest class, LI10. They are in week 3, and so this class that you're about to see is in their 10th week. So you'll see hopefully a little bit more polish around the presentations and Q&A. But again, we've invested in all of these companies, and we'll plan on syndicating most of them as well. Are we live streaming today as well? Great. So we've got our live streaming going on launchaccelerator.co/live. If anyone wants to tweet or share that out. And we will go ahead and get started. So let's welcome Clint from Tribal Metrics.
Wow, that was a rousing applause there, guys. Wow, guys, sure to make me feel really good up here. All right, I'm Clint Gordon-Carroll with Tribal Metrics. I'm excited to be here. Our goal and what we're trying to achieve is help you grow and build high-performance teams. Think about it this year, or think about the time that we're in right now. It's October. Worldwide companies are kicking off performance reviews, and truthfully, they're akin to medieval torture. The tools that are out there, the experience, nobody loves them. There's a clear opportunity to do this better. Now, how important is feedback? How important is self-awareness? Well, let's ask LeBron James and J.R. Smith last year in the NBA final at 107 piece. J.R. just needs to put that thing in. Feedback is critical. It doesn't matter whether you're LeBron James or whether you're Clint Gordon-Carroll working on a 10-person team or a 5-person team. Feedback is so important to success. Now, what happens when your top employees don't feel like they have a path to be on a high-performing team? They leave, okay? It's that simple. So our goal is to be able to help you prevent that, losing key employees, and we'll show you how we do that. Now, we've taken a radical and simple approach, maybe akin to something like PageRank at Google or Tinder in the dating experience, but we ask one performance question through Slack to you about your teammates on average about twice a day, depending on the size of the team. And that question is very simple. It is rate the current performance of Jane. And it gives you these very simple kind of humanized emojis of how Jane is performing. What we found is that the simplicity approach creates a higher rate of interaction. In fact, on average, 83% of the times we ask a question, it gets answered. And it gets answered within minutes of being asked. That means those data points are coming in really fast and with a lot of information. Now, we do ask a secondary question. We look for drops in performance. We'll ask a question like, hey, what's an area in which Jane could improve? And that gives us additional data. We also help Jane when she's doing really well. What's Jane doing really well? And allows her to colleagues to annotate her performance so that when the end of the year comes and you're doing those performance reviews, a manager who typically spends 30 to 60 hours doing reviews for his team can literally walk onto our dashboard and in seconds download an entire report of the entire year with all of the work that they've done, all the areas that they've needed to improve in, with a team score, okay? So this is the dashboard, and really quickly and easily you can see the color, you can see what has Jane successfully done this year, and you can even compare it against other team members in similar functions. All right, so we also nudge the manager to help them and improve. So we've got a lot of things that we're doing. It's a SaaS model and services as a software that's super exciting, and we are the team that built Tribal. Thank you very much.
Great. And your weekly metric?
Yeah, so we have 2 weekly metrics where we look at engagement. October's numbers are coming in, and it looks like it's bumping up to 86%. So we've done a few things to improve when we ask the survey. So engagement is improving. And the second metric that we're looking at, we're kind of the young startup in the incubator. We launched 12 weeks ago, and we're just basically adding a customer every week. We have a land and expand approach. A manager downloads it, starts using it. Before you know it, another manager in the same organization starts using it, and it's just kind of growing inside of organizations. So that's our land and expand approach.
Great.
Metric.
One, questions, feedback?
Yeah, I saw a company recently that's tackling the same problem. So this is more of like maybe a thought-provoking thing, that you could take the data with you, your performance data, to other companies in the future, so that the user owns that data. So I was wondering if you guys are thinking about that.
Great question.
Great presentation. I love the product and the continuous aspect of performance reviews. What type of tools do you integrate within the company ecosystem to get the signal that you need to prompt someone to give a review? Like, are you working with GChat or emails or calendar?
Thank you.
I think this is really well done. I like how simple it is. You're going to get tons of feedback. My question is, do you guys spend a lot of time thinking about the potential negative aspects of the way you're doing this, either in terms of getting inadvertent behavior changes from people that you don't actually want, or building either resentment or negativity because people have a chance to complain and they start to think about things they're unhappy about instead of things they're happy about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic question.
So I definitely think you're solving a problem that's worth solving. Most organizations don't perform employee performance reviews often enough, and then the employee gets suddenly surprised that he's got all this negative feedback, and he's shocked by it, and all of a sudden he's in danger of losing his job, and a lot of this is because of folks being indirect in their communication style. It's natural human tendency to do that, to avoid confrontation. So you solve that, which is cool. So if you're within an organization that's like one of these more modern organizations where you've got employees working side by side, is there a danger that, like I'll basically be reviewing someone who's right next to me and they'll see what I'm doing and there's a privacy concern there? Like, is that an issue that this could become a negative sentiment issue within a small group?
Hey, I'm curious how you position what you're doing, what Tribal versus other platforms that customers are considering for this use case, like Lattice or small improvements or whatnot. More to get inside sort of the understanding of the nuance differentiation on product specifically. Thanks.
Okay.
I've done enterprise sales for 20 years, and I really like your sales model where people download it. You get critical mass, and then you can start charging for it, similar to Splunk and Dropbox. Would you expand this to rate other things like sales kickoff, presentations, other events the company's doing?
Great. 2 minutes.
Hey, great questions. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Juan, actually, the design of what we're building is the goal is to democratize the performance review. I want to be able to come to you for a job and be able to offer you, hey, this is what I've done in the last 3 years, and you don't have to question whether I did it well or not. I can actually hand you what my team, because it's a 360 review, this is what the team thought of me, and I can narrate, hey, there was a dip in my performance. What happened? Well, we changed management. I wasn't very sure of where things were going, but I changed, and look how things improved, and we launched this product, and it was great. Like, it will empower the employee to be able to control. I walk into a new company, I've got that data. If I want to get a pay raise, I want a promotion, if I feel like I'm underserved, if I'm based on bias or other things, I have proof to be able to show, that data, and that really will be empowering. So our goal is to democratize the data. So great question. Second, Frederic, integrating with tools. We landed with Slack first because the tendency is folks are a little bit more progressive in using it and trying new things. But we think we integrate into Exchange, we integrate into G Suite, we'll be integrating into all the workspace tools. And that's why, compared to like Lattice and all these other guys, they've built portals. They want you to go to another site. They want you to go to another app. We build it into your work tool, and that's why we get high engagement. We want to create it so simple that people don't feel like it's a burden to be a part of this experience of giving feedback. So, great question. Jed, what are the negatives? Look, we've done a series of tests of amping up the number of times you ask a question to every 2 hours, and we've seen the negative side. We found a really good balance. You only get asked to review one of your teammates once to twice a day. And that turns out people feel really good, and it's a healthy way to kind of get that out. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the other questions. I'd love to take it offline. We're super excited by what we're trying to achieve. We think we can optimize performance through tribal metrics. Thank you.
Great. A round of applause for Clint. And let's welcome Crystal from PantyProp. Three minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Crystal, CEO and founder of PantyProp, and we have developed a feminine care solution for people who are unable to use alternatives such as tampons. Recent health studies have shown that young girls are starting puberty as early as 9 years old, and many of them are unable to use tampons. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because their bodies are physically unable to actually insert a tampon, and sanitary pads are completely ineffective. And as I grew the company, I realized that not only young girls are dealing with this, it's women that have regular, normal, common health issues such as endometriosis, PCOS, uterine fibroids, people that are disabled, the special needs community, and then what about people who have gender and cultural restrictions? Typical products today, they are completely inefficient, they slip, they fail, they leak, and they have very limited use. So what we built was a solution that is the only product that on market right now that will secure a sanitary pad perfectly in place. Not only is it leak proof, it will also collect your flow immediately on onset. So there's no tampon required, it's failure free, and you can wear it anywhere. So basically we built an all-in-one solution that's just as simple as wearing a pair of jeans. Items that you can wear all day, every day: swimwear, underwear, sleepwear, and activewear. We're bridging that gap between health, hygiene, and comfort, and we're the only in-between solution to choose between pads and tampons. The sanitary care market is a $42 billion market, and it has actually gone up every single year. It's actually one of the top 5 markets that actually survived the recession, because 50% of the population suffer from menstruation or incontinence. Our products are priced affordably, even though we have a 75% gross margin. And to date, we have $4.5 million in sales. We have grown tremendously from year to year. The difference between us and them is we are the only company that can boldly and blatantly make that statement, no tampon required. So what did we do? We solved the real problem for anyone, anytime, and anywhere. Our team is a team of 7, but the 3 of us make up the company. I have 20 years of business operations. Nicole has 11 years in Procter & Gamble, and Lauren has 7 years as fashion tech. So right now, we're in the middle of a rebrand. Even though we built a $1 million company with the name Panty Prop, we're in the middle of a rebrand for new name, new assets to become that $1 billion company, to be the most trusted feminine care product that when people need it most. So join us in making feminine care without any limitations.
And your weekly metric?
We're tracking sales, of course.
Great metric. Cool. All right. Simple. Go ahead, Kay.
Congrats on the revenue. That's pretty impressive. Thank you. So obviously this is completely direct to consumer, right? So your word of mouth, Instagram, all these other, is that your means of acquiring customers?
I was curious if you had gotten, or like what percentage of women prefer this type of product versus something else, and do you intend to capture the other part of the demand curve? Like, would you go multi-product, in other words, and have a different form factor?
Is there any defensibility to the invention? Is it protected in some way? How can you stop fast followers?
That was my biggest question. Just a long-term barrier to stop the bigger manufacturers just from totally trying to copy this. And how do you get ahead of that?
Thanks for this presentation. I wanted to know, what's your defensibility again, with other competitors? This is something that we've seen more and more. As a product like you have Sinks, I think, is doing that. So what differentiates you from another brand doing the exact same thing? And how do you acquire customers besides the viral effect? Can people try it for free? And because it's not something that when you're not doing, you've never done it before, how would you want to try it? What is the hook that will make you want to switch?
Just some of the unit economics when creating these different products, and that was my second thing. Is it multiple products, and how do you deal with, let's say people buying a specific brand because they want to show that off? Is this branded? Do people know that you have these pants on? I saw that one of them was pants. So those 2 things.
2 minutes.
Great questions. So we are acquiring customers through direct-to-consumer. All those sales are directly through our website. Just this year, prior to this year, we weren't really doing any advertising. We just started doing advertising this year. Our customers want it. 66% of people wear sanitary napkins over tampons. A lot of people think it's the other way around, but it's actually more people wearing sanitary pads than there is tampons. And as I said in my presentation, sanitary products or sanitary pads are completely ineffective. They're not good for everyday activities. What is our defensibility? Our product, the gusset is what makes up our product. It's not the swimwear, it's not the underwear. We look in the long term to actually be able to license out our gusset to other products. Like say, if you're riding on a bike and you're wearing biker shorts from Nike, this is in the long run. It's all in that gusset. We just happen to build a capsule collection around that of normal everyday things that people need. If you're going on vacation and you need a swimsuit and you just got off the plane and your daughter has her period, what are you going to do? She's going to sit there on the side? No, she can just use our product. So that's why people want it. They're not worried about, they're looking at it more of like a product to help them and to help what they need it for, and that's why they're purchasing it. We built the multiple products around it for everyday use, for things that you normally cannot do, such as swimming if you have your period and you cannot wear a tampon.
Very much. Round of applause for Crystal. Let's welcome Miles from TutorMe. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Miles Hunter, co-founder and CEO of TutorMe, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring. So it wasn't too long ago when I was an undergrad at USC, I really struggled with being able to find an effective tutoring option. Like most schools across the country, they have a tutoring center, an academic success center that offers free in-person tutoring to all students, but you actually have to go there, there's inconvenient commute, there's limited subjects, and you have to schedule these in advance in 1 hour increments. So we decided to create a solution to that, and fast forward to now, we're working with a lot of colleges across the country, from small community colleges to large state institutions. So how does it work for a student that actually partners with a school that we work with? So the student would log into LMS, which is the Central Student Portal. So in this case, it's Canvas. And they would log in, they would see TutorMe as a tool, click on it, and then they seamlessly go into our platform, where they would type in what subject they need help in. So in this case, it's accounting. They would describe the problem that they have, upload any relevant files, and then they would go into the matching process. Typically, we match a student across 300 subjects in 18.2 seconds. So then they go into our proprietary lesson space, built from the ground up, with video, audio chat, and a bunch of other tools to really mimic the in-person tutoring experience. So our business model, previously mentioned, is the B2B2C model, where we actually partner directly with the school. The school pays for these hours, and the students get it absolutely at no cost. And so they're able to use this 24/7 across 300 subjects. And so then there's the B2C model, which is completely organic at this point, and that's a subscription-based model, similar to how there's online tutoring now, where they actually offer tutoring directly to the consumer. And then in terms of traction, today we're at 37 paying colleges, 0 churn still, 53,000 hours of tutoring completed. 730K in revenue last year. We're on track to do 1.4 this year. And so then in terms of testimonials, our admins really like us, as well as the students. The students really see it as a lifeline to when they really need help late at night, or when there's no real opportunity to actually get help otherwise. And the admins like it because they really see it as a resource to be able to help these students out. But more importantly, it really helps out with student retention, and the schools actually benefit from that to the bottom line. In terms of market size, there's 4,700 U.S. colleges. 20% of that, with a really conservative ACV, is about $70 million a year. And that's not including, of course, the K-12 market, international, and then actually partnering actually doing the B2C market, which we haven't really spent any money on or time on. So my name is Miles Hunter, co-founder and CEO of TutorMe, where we're improving student success through effective online tutoring.
Your weekly metric?
So the lifeblood of the company is hours of tutoring. So this is how many hours on a per week basis. We're projecting to break through the 1,000. Well, we already broke through the 1,000 last week, and then this week we're on track to do 1,100. So
awesome. So last week was best week ever, right?
Best week ever, yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, where's the mic? Juan?
Cool, impressive traction. When people get tutored, do they want to be paired with somebody that took that class specifically with that particular professor? Or is this across the board, like I just want to learn these topics, calculus 2 or whatever?
My question is, what is the state of the competition? Is there any other product that colleges are using, and why would they go with you or someone else?
Yeah, I guess 2 questions. That's the first big one, because there's been a lot of tutoring companies over the years that are out there, each with a little something different. So how do you stick out? What's the true long-term differentiator here? Is it that the schools are involved themselves, et cetera? And then this is a much bigger market than this. I guess this is a recurring theme today. But this is a much bigger market than a $70 million market. You're totally selling yourself short. This is a multi-billion-dollar market. So I think you need to look at how you get a bigger piece of that big market.
Yes, I also had a similar question around the competitive landscape. I've looked at a few of these over the years, like InstaEDU, which was sold at Chegg, a few others. So my question really is around your metrics. So you said that you're doing like 1.4 million. Are the students paying for that, or is it the colleges? And if it's the students, is that just GMV, or is that your net take rate? Maybe you could share some light on that, please.
My question is more like logistically, how do you ensure that the tutors are like able to tutor the students in a particular subject and matched to that class, given you're serving different schools, different classes, just quality control in general?
I had a question around market size as well. So this is colleges only. How do you make it more broadly available? Are there different models that you could go after, like a Khan Academy, where they're broadly appealing to different grades and down to high school level?
2 minutes thoughts? Okay. So Juan, do students want a particular tutor? We're really advocates of the matching process. We really want a student to be able to go in and get help within 30 seconds. So there's no scheduling. There's any rudimentary kind of like systems for the tutors to actually be online at certain times. There's no real like shifts or anything like that, like a lot of other competitors. We really want the tutor to be there, available on demand. So we're really managing supply and demand that way. We don't think that it really should be a difficult process to match a tutor and a student within 30 seconds. And then in terms of competition, there are a couple providers that sell directly to schools, but they've been around for a while. They have really, really bad products, and they're not actually providing on-demand tutoring. It's very much, like I said, the scheduling, waiting for a tutor way in advance. It's maybe 15 to 20 subjects tops. We're able to do 300 really well. And then how are we different? I kind of like just spoke on that. The market is bigger. I was really just speaking on like the behalf of like that the market that's really like our take on it. And then I was really just talking about like just the college market itself. Obviously the tutoring market itself is in the billions, but right, yeah. So like the end goal is to actually, the vision is to actually go into B2C and to be able to tackle that after we establish credibility in the college market, and then go downstream K-12. And then we also want to just create, kind of answers some of the other questions, is that we want to create an actual SaaS product that's an all-in-one solution for these tutoring centers and academic support centers and advising offices, that they can actually use this all-in-one solution to manage their in-person tutors, to manage academic advising, to really do everything from that's kind of related to the tutoring. And then do the students pay? The students pay when it's the consumer model, when they just go to our public-facing site, but the schools actually pay when we're actually doing direct partnerships with the school. The students don't pay a dime for that. And then the GMV, the 1.4 is GMV, but we have healthy 60% margins due to our consumer platform is really healthy margins. So in terms of vetting, we have a long vetting process, but we could talk about it offline, how that works. And then K-12, like I mentioned, we do want to do K-12. We think if we could do colleges, K-12 is not much difficult. So,
Great.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Round of applause for Miles. And let's welcome Brian from Loop. 3 minutes. 3, 2, go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Gannon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Loop. So it seems like in the online world, there's a place for virtually everyone to stay connected, whether it be teens with Snapchat or even neighbors with Nextdoor. But there's one missing, and it's huge, and it's right underneath our noses. Family. Loop's vision is to become the place where you stay connected with your family. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, wait a minute. Hasn't that been tried before in the company path? Well, really, that was your closest 100 friends, and they couldn't find a business model. Oh, wait a minute. No, I use group messaging with my family. It's all cool. Well, really, that's confined to small screens, and it's focused on texts. Oh, wait a minute. I use Apple Photos, and we've got iPads. We're all hooked up. Well, when one person in your family gets an Android phone, the whole thing breaks down. What if I told you we created something that connects everybody, is private, and dare I say, even fun? Well, we have. And it all starts with this magical little box. Introducing Loop, the easiest and the best way to stay connected with your family. Let me show you how it works. So let's say you're out and about with your family and you just took this gorgeous little picture of your kids. These are my kids, by the way. And you want to share it with your family who lives across the country. Do you post it to Facebook? No, of course you don't. You post it to Loop. You simply open the app, add a picture, add a short message, press send. Instantly it shows up in your mom's house, your dad's house, and even your own kitchen. And of course, everyone you've invited to the Loop app. You can share pictures, videos, message, and video chat. It's a complete family communication system and your own private family network. So we built it. Does anyone care? Well, we put up a website and a buy button. We did $1 million in sales in just under 12 weeks. One of the customers works at Best Buy, runs worldwide digital imaging. So they put it in 50 stores across the country. We sold out that in 4 weeks. So who are these customers? Well, here's Monica, classic customer, 2 kids under the age of 10, family spread out across the country. She bought 3 loops. But interestingly, those people bought another 5 loops. All told, from that one sale, we had 8 loops and 21 app downloads and made a profit. There's Tyler, lives in San Francisco, no kids, family from Minnesota, looking for an easy way to stay connected. And then I'm happy to say our first Gen Z sighting, this 15-year-old punk, Michael, from Ireland. And kids seem to love it. We're seeing some early viral signals. Average order size was 2.6 units. And average loop downloads is 3 per everything. People spend time in the app. A third of our users spend 2+ days per week in it. We have a hardware plus subscription revenue service business model. We have an amazing team. My co-founder, Sital, who's here, used to run Words with Friends, still the world's most popular mobile game. We're Loop, your family network. Thank you.
Very excited to see your weekly metric.
Oh, yeah.
How are we doing?
Still up.
Nice.
So, yeah, last week, up 30% from the previous week. We doubled the previous week, so obviously it was a big task to continue to double, but we do intend to double each week from now on. Average order size. Actually, the reason we didn't double is our average order size went down. So $450 is lower. In the past, we usually do about $500, $525. So we're finding different audiences, and we need to make sure we get these higher ROIs. But people buy these in bunches.
Great. Questions?
Cool. My mom has a flip phone still, so I get it. Hardware is pretty hard, so what do the margins look like on the hardware? I saw that you have an ongoing revenue model, which is cool, the $299 a month. And do you see like Amazon and Google and some of these other device manufacturers that are already in the home going after this in any way?
What is like engagement looking like, just in terms of frequency of uploading and also on the other end interaction with the actual device or app?
Maybe you could share a little bit of data around kind of like your sales model, your go-to-market, how you're acquiring customers, your model around that, and how that can scale going forward.
So have you considered over the next 2 years getting completely out of the hardware business? Just using it to kind of plant the seed, get some initial customers, get some hooks, but just focus entirely on software, because everyone's going to have one of these things, a screen of some type in their kitchen and throughout the house that your software could solve this problem for. Get the lead by having some hardware now, but then just get out of that business, because you cannot win long-term in hardware most of the time.
I agree with Jed. I think that focusing on the software and the adoption of the software is something you should focus on. As a product person, I would add the timestamp and the author of the picture on the screen, so you know where it comes from, especially when you have a lot of members of the family contributing. My question is, going back to the software question, like what's the usage of the app and how many, what's the frequency and the average time spent on the app to understand really like what was the adoption of the software? And then what is your partnership strategy with the Amazon, like not the Amazon, but the Apple Photo and the SmugMug and of the world to be able to display their screen, or at least an integration so you can have a feed of their pictures?
What else can I do with my family other than pictures and text back and forth? And then the other, I guess, question I have is this very opportunistic? Because, like, for example, my mom would probably want to buy this right now, but as she learns new platforms, Snapchat and Instagram, I could see her just adopting that and communicating that way with me a lot better. So,
Great. I'm going to start left to right because it benefits me. Yeah. No. So the question was, so what else can it do and all those things? So we studied this before we started, and if you look at it, the 4 things I listed, share pictures, share videos, message, and video chat, that actually defines the complete communication system, basically. So we consider that pretty complete at the beginning. And then I think it goes down to Frederick's question and suggestion immediately, which was, and I respect your opinion quite a bit from the Smug Mug days in the photo bucket, which was little details in the UX to make it highly engaging. And every month or so, we come out with a whole new set of features, such as adding these timestamps that come back. You know, we've gotten that feedback, and we're absolutely going to do that. So integrations, we currently obviously integrate with Apple Photos right through your phone. The Smug Mugs are a tap button, so you can go into one click, connect to Smug Mug. It's actually on our roadmap, particularly Smug Mug. We've got a few ahead of that right now, but we just add them in all the time. And then that becomes a channel, actually. We've got a very unique way of doing it. It's very slick and a lot of fun. And I think leading into that next question, you both had the same question of, what about software? Why not just do the software? And I totally agree with that. And I think at the end of next year, we have a goal internally to have the world's best family app all by itself, end of the year this time. That being said, we're following the model that Amazon blazed with the Echo and Alexa. No Echo, no Alexa, flat out. And we get to fund this growth. So think about that for a little while. It is hard. For my team in China, they actually don't believe it's that hard. But I agree. That's our goal to do that. Ed, sales channels. We've identified 12 sales channels already. Right now we're going up the digital line, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, then Amazon, and then we've done retail already, but I would probably put that off further because there's so many more to go through. There's, we can talk about it after, but there's a laundry list of these. Alex, engagement, frequency. The things we measure are how many times you go into the app per week, how many times you're sharing. That's our North Star metric. And we get 33% of our customers go back 2+ times, 10% go back multiple times and have replaced WeChat as their family communication system. And we can talk afterwards, Gabe, if you want.
All right, round of applause for Brian, and let's welcome Dennis from Taffy. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Dennis from Taffy, and we're a SaaS company built to connect innovators in tomorrow's healthcare industry. So in today's industry, hospitals are great at taking care of patients, but they're bad at using data. They still use fax, and they're just not equipped to handle all the new data sources. Fortunately, we have thousands of vendors popping up who are really good at using data, who can pull insights out of it. And tomorrow, by blending these data sources and insights, we can move from sick care to healthcare. Unfortunately, though, vendors are not very good at getting to the data. And who can blame them? It looks like this. It's not easily read by humans or machine. And the industry's solution is to drive toward a particular standard, but since things evolve, we currently use about 36 of them. So it really means that there are no standards. Ultimately, everyone in the system just wants to be able to take information out of the clinical record easily in a format that they can use and push insights back to providers. Luckily, Taffy is great at helping vendors do this. We've taken a lot of what rigid services companies sell and brought it down into a flexible, reusable software product. To see kind of how this works, we have a couple of examples here. So 4D Healthware improves outcomes for chronically ill cancer patients. And they were getting information by phone, email, and then pushing patient engagement type responses back to care teams and family members. And it just wasn't scalable. we were able to come in and help them at almost every step of their process move data around and reduce the workload. We reduced their cost by about 80% upfront, and by enabling them to scale to hundreds of sites quickly and easily, it's no wonder that Star, their CEO, professed her love for our product. So another example is PerfectServe. So they are a clinical communications company, and before Taffy, their care team users were having to go to a separate web app to log in and check messages, but they couldn't post data to a particular patient. We were able to come in and give them a single sign-on solution, much faster than the EMR vendor could do so, and now they have much more capability. Simplifying it down to just one connection gives companies like PerfectServe much easier time to tackle a previously nightmarish scenario. The reason that we can offer this is because our team has a unique blend of deep expertise in health IT from the major EMR vendors, and the potential to take advantage of all the new data sources today has led Taffy to be able to help the system revolutionize healthcare insight. Thank you. So our data metrics, so we track a couple of things. Tech calls, our sales cycle is a bit long, so we look at tech calls to see what the funnel is doing, and then authentications show how the product is being used. We started, this is over the whole incubator. We had just finished a marketing campaign, so tech calls are slowing down while we ramp up another campaign. But we went live in a few more sites this week, and so usage is off the charts.
Great. Questions? Great. How do you guys handle the privacy and security of the data? And is this something that gets thrown around, but is blockchain technology in the pipeline? What do you guys have?
Great problem to tackle. My question is upstream of one question. How do you get the data in the first place? It's a very highly regulated area. A lot of startups have failed because they cannot get the data. So how do you get the data? And then my second question is, what's your price, like your business model and your pricing model? Like I don't see revenues here, so kind of curious.
Very tough industry to sell into. What are your sales techniques? How do you get them to pay attention to you?
So just to make sure I understand what you're doing here, it's kind of marshaling data around across different systems and routing the data. So that kind of feels like middleware to me. Is there an opportunity for you to become a system of record at any point, or will you squarely be in the middleware space?
If I understand correctly, you're kind of in the middle of two companies basically, and if that's the case, like at least in my experience, oftentimes it's like the pain point is more badly felt by like the startups that are trying to integrate, let's say, with like a large insurer. How do you can you help them with that, or is it really kind of up to, are they big enough for the insurer to care, and if so, then you can help them, but otherwise not? Is there?
I had the question around regulation as well. Is your buyer the hospital IT department, and what specific use case are they buying for? Is it move, share, and aggregate data, or is it I've got a new patient that moved here from California, and I've got to import all their records?
2 minutes. Okay, solid questions. So one, we're fully HIPAA compliant. Our system is very robust. We've gone through audits. So privacy is not an issue. We can deploy on-prem or in the cloud. We use GCP. Frederic, how we get the data is we're very flexible in that regard. We can do ETL. We can go right to the databases. We can have the hospital send us data streams. That's usually how we train our engine to map data quickly. But we can take multiple different formats, and then we flatten it to our format, expose it via API, so it's consistent across the users. And then pricing, we charge whoever wants us, essentially. So right now we're targeting more of the vendor market because they have typically gone to a hospital, coordinated a pilot, and things look good, but then they can't integrate the data, and so it's very difficult. So they're willing to pay, and they may pass that cost on to hospitals. We also have plans for how we would charge hospitals in order to create like a power strip for vendors where they set up a system with us, then they can quickly connect new companies so they can test them out quickly and fail fast as well, or succeed. Jed, the sales techniques, very inside sales for now. So we have a long list of thousands of companies that are doing this kind of thing. So we reach out to them, and usually the CTO is the person that is responsive. And yeah, as soon as we start talking to them, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm dealing with this, and it's a headache." And then it completely is middleware, and so we don't have plans to be the system of record right now. There are kind of too many players to compete with in that space, but nobody's really that flexible in the middleware space. We are rolling out a self-serve platform so vendors can hook easy situations up, the startups, very quickly and easily, and we view that as really democratizing kind of access to data. And we can catch up, Cabe. Sorry, I ran out of time. Dennis at taffy.io. Thank you.
Round of applause for Dennis. And let's welcome Brandon from Grin. Ready? 3 minutes. 3, 2, go.
I want to introduce you guys to Hunter. Hunter's the director of marketing at a brand called Ellie. Ellie's a popular clothing brand with young women. Influencer marketing has quickly become the most important piece of Ellie's advertising strategy because the content they create is engaging and cost-effective. And they work with a lot of influencers to create content, 1,800 every single month that Hunter and his team manage. And it's a very complex process for Hunter to run through. He uses a bunch of different tools to run a program of this scale, none of which talk to each other very well. And it leaves him stressed out. It's hard for him to manage his existing program, let alone grow it over time. Until one day, Hunter comes across Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. Intrigued, he clicks it and decides to sign up. And within 30 days, Hunter's process of working with influencers goes from this to this. Grin's CRM for influencer marketing streamlines the content creation process. Here's how it works for Hunter and his team. First, he uploads his roster of 1,800 influencers into the tool. Second, he connects his e-commerce, email, and Slack with one click. Once connected, Grin automatically syncs and starts tracking all of his influencer communication. Grin then goes out to the social networks and starts aggregating his branded content and puts it into a searchable library so he can download assets and share them across the organization. We show him who he needs to follow up with and who's behind on content. We help him attribute revenue across his entire program because we connect into his e-commerce tool. And we help him collect W-9s and manage payments at scale, plus a whole lot more. And with Grin, Hunter's able to get 10x the content in half the time. And he's stoked. He crushes his KPIs. He probably gets a promotion. My name's Brandon. I'm the CEO of Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing. We're in the middle of a massive shift of consumer attention where traditional channels are declining year over year and mobile and social is on the rise. And smart brands understand that in this new environment, the customer journey begins with content. The average customer engages with 11 pieces of content prior to making a purchase. And the truth is that influencer content is the most engaging and cost-effective to generate at scale. And this insight has created an entirely new discipline. This is Google search volume for the term influencer marketing from 2004 until now. And a few short years ago, this just simply didn't exist. And now there's 108,000 influencer marketing managers on LinkedIn. And a quick search of ZipRecruiter shows that there's 28,000 open jobs for this discipline. This is a massive, fundamental shift in the way that consumers operate that's driving an entirely new industry. Today, we have 100 paying companies using Grin, some of the world's best direct-to-consumer brands like Movement Watches, Diff Eyewear, and Zoomies. And we're on a great growth rate. We're a SaaS business model, currently at $875K in ARR. We've been growing at 19% a month for the last 14 months straight. I'm Brandon. We're Grin, the CRM for influencer marketing, powering content for the world's best brands. Thanks.
Weekly metric.
So we track ARR growth, net ARR growth over week over week. We grew 4% last week. We're at 875K.
Wow. Solid last 3 weeks. Great. Go for it.
It's definitely very of the moment. So I can see that that's getting picked up a lot. So you mentioned that you're kind of direct to these direct-to-consumer brands. Are you also doing any partnerships with ad agencies, and are they licensing this from you and using those in the thousands of campaigns that they run?
Do you involve yourself at all in like the sourcing side of influencers, or is it just purely for CRM, and that's not where you go extend into?
Just wondering if you have any thoughts on the competitive landscape. I've heard a number of kind of influencer marketing software packages over the years. Not exactly like yours, but you probably have a little bit more perspective, given that you've probably seen some of the other players in the space. So maybe you could just shed some light on that and kind of how large those other players are and how you are relative to them.
I'm trying to figure out if this is a better system for brands themselves or for agencies or anybody helping those brands do all this.
My question is like on the brand side, like what's the fulfillment looking like? When do you manage also like sending products, inventory of products to be able to target influencers? So how do you go about that?
Can you clarify that?
In terms of like you interface with brand when you do influencer marketing and you push a product to an influencer, how do you handle that?
I've seen some of the influencer connecting type of marketplaces. It seems like they probably already have a huge customer base. I guess it's the defensibility of the product what keeps them from just implementing this into their, I guess, one of their offerings.
2 minutes, Brandon.
1 second.
You ready?
Sure. Okay, Cabe, are you doing partnerships with agencies? Yes, about 30% of our customers are agencies, although as we've matured as a company, we've really refined our focus to this mid-market e-commerce brand because that's where we have the most traction. Do we source, Alex? So yeah, we have a whole suite of recruitment tools as well as a database that you can recruit from and prospect influencers into, and we also have tools to handle inbound applications for brands. The competitive landscape, I get it. It's a competitive space. The truth is that 95% of our competitors are all marketplaces. Smart brands don't like marketplaces because it puts a wedge between them and the influencer. They want to own the relationship in-house. If you believe that in the future every consumer brand will have influencer marketing managers in-house, then you need a relationship management tool to facilitate that, and that's what we'll be. Jed, is it better for brands or agencies? Really, so our product is built much better for mid-market brands because of our e-commerce integrations, and that's how we've evolved over time. But there's a big use case for agencies as well. How do you handle fulfillment? Really simple. Since we plug into Shopify, WooCommerce, and Magento, if I understand your question correctly, the user just pushes a button and it sends an order, 100% discount, and fulfillment's all tracked manually. Why don't the marketplaces build it? Many of them are trying. The difference, though, is if you're a brand like Movement Watches and you've built up this asset of thousands of influencers, you don't want to onboard your influencers into a marketplace where your competitors can then poach them. Almost all of our competitors, a requirement for working with them is onboarding influencers into their tool, and then they're available for all these brands to work with. Our data is private. It's like a normal CRM. You would never share your customer prospect list with everybody using Salesforce. Just doesn't make sense, and smart brands don't do that. So that's why we don't. Thanks.
Let's welcome Chris from Blackthorn. Three minutes, 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building modern event management. One of our customers is the Interactive Advertising Bureau. They're a 60,000 member association that's based in New York, and they store all of their data in Salesforce. Connor is our lead stakeholder at IAB, and his headaches are that they have way too many apps. They were hard to maintain. There was no all-inclusive portal or mobile app to bring it all together, and they had no central view of a contact. So when they would have one person that would attend their event through Cvent or Eventbrite or Attendify or Fontiva, no one could actually tell them what all the events and different pieces that they were related to. So as a member of IAB, I go to their homepage, I click sign in, I'm taken to a login prompt, I then log in, but I can also access it on iOS and Android. So this is our product. As a member of IAB, I can then see all of the upcoming events of IAB. I can see the ones I'm registered for. I can then register for additional events within the app. And then once I'm in the event, I can then direct message other people in the event. I'm sure everybody here has been to a conference, and I don't know if you've ever used something where you could message other people in the event, let alone be able to request meetings with them to facilitate meetings. And the big benefit here is that you can then have this central view of a contact, including the meeting request, the different sessions they've attended, other donations that they've given at the event. It's a complete solution. Recently at one of IAB's events, we had 700 members check in with our mobile check-in app. They had over 550 meeting requests, and they used one technology stack to be able to do this, and they had one central view of the contact. So why is this important? There's one data source here, which is Salesforce, and they're using our complete solution to be able to do this, managing events, donations, and payments, and mobile payments. They didn't have to write any code to be able to do this, which is huge in the enterprise space. Usually you have to write code to do something, and it's accessible on all devices. So we now have customers across associations, for-profit space, and the nonprofit space. The market opportunity here, the Salesforce Foundation has partnered with us to go after their higher ed, all their universities. We're now working with multiple large institutions across multiple spaces with some fairly significant deals here. So anyone who uses Salesforce that manages events is our target. And the size of the market here, there's over 150,000 businesses that use Salesforce. There's 15,000 nonprofits, and it's a huge ecosystem. This is my second startup that I've created. My first one was a Salesforce services company. We did $3 million in the first year and a half. John's been building systems for 20 years, and this is the third sales team that Bennett's been creating from scratch here. And we're supported by a team of Salesforce and full stack experts. We have just over 580K ARR. We've been growing at 14% month over month this year. I'm Chris from Blackthorn, and we're building event management for the enterprise. Thanks.
Weekly metric?
Yeah, we're tracking a few. So for the incubator, we've been growing about 3.6% week over week. We recently only launched our productized event stack, and in that time, we have created 8 new opportunities, as well as having a few new people go on to trials, and we have a few deals that we closed. So it was about 4K last week.
Great. Solid metrics. Go for it, one.
So I use Attendify a lot, and they have the white labeled apps and the just finding events on their marketplace. What do you guys do? I'm not sure if you have to download an app every time you go to an event, or if it's all, like if I download it once, I could find any other event that uses this platform.
Yeah, in the same line as one, like it's a very fragmented market, and how do you go about like consolidating and making it very, almost like event agnostic, and maybe creating the event on the fly and having it crowdsourced? Like, I'm giving you answers, but I'm kind of trying to figure out what would be the best way to approach it.
I just want to clarify something I'm confused about. If you're using this and you go to an event, you mentioned that you could then communicate with everybody else at the event. Do they also have to be using the same app to do that? Okay.
Can you just walk us through your sales efficiency? So like, what's the ACV of one of your deals, and how long is the sales cycle, and what type of sales are you doing? Is it telesales, face-to-face, email, self-serve? Help us understand that.
I might have completely misunderstood something you said, but if you are locking yourself in within the Salesforce ecosystem, like I'm sure it's huge, but why did you do that, and like what's the future path if you want to go beyond that?
Is this a tool like the old school bump where I meet somebody and I get their contact, or is it more at the booth I'm capturing everybody that's ever been to that event? And I think right now I'm seeing an overwhelming number of sales and marketing tools, and I think that HR marketing directors and sales directors are getting overwhelmed with these tools. So, what's your go-to-market, and how do you differentiate?
2 minutes, Chris. Go for it.
Great. So one with Attendify for different event apps in the marketplace. So there's 2 different things that we're actually playing with. So some companies, they don't want to use a generic app that everybody logs into. They really want it branded as their own. So we have the ability to, it's a web app, authenticated web app, so we can deploy that inside of a container. So we can deploy this inside of your own. If you're a university, you can have your own university app just for you that runs on iOS or Android. And people have really liked that pitch and concept. So there's no new event app for every one of this single entity that you're going to. It is a very fragmented market, and to combine that with the concept of Cabe and Alex and why people are looking to do this. So the big value prop here is that if you're, our big ones are around associations, nonprofits, and universities because they have to take donations and mobile payments. So to bring that all together into one piece, there really is no one trying to go after that full stack in a single solution to be able to do all that, which makes it really sticky to be able to tackle that market. And our whole stack on the event-facing side is built on AWS. So only some of the model is in Salesforce. So if we want to expand either outside into other CRMs or to have the same model in our own data stack, we have that ability to do that. Our beachhead on Salesforce, though, has been the best because there's a huge inbound market to that. And also Salesforce has been pushing us. Ed, with ACV and cycles, and also I know that you guys do some stuff around dev-oriented APIs. So we have a wrapper that works around this as well. But in terms of the ACV, our average revenue per account is about 6K. We're working multiple 200K deals right now, actually. So the more traction we get, the bigger people that are coming on to gain interest. The bulk has been over email and video. So it's not exactly face-to-face, but a lot of it's around email and video because customers end up being worldwide. So thanks.
Great. Round of applause for Chris. And let's welcome Amanda from Ballooner. For our judges in the first row, this is the last one, so you can start thinking about your 3, 2, and 1 again. Amanda, you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, go.
Ready. Hi, I'm Amanda Greenberg. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ballooner. Our business tools and processes, meetings, email, Slack, don't address the way our brains actually work in a group setting. They don't account for things like louder, more senior voices dominating conversations. And people hold back their best ideas and their most valuable, authentic feedback because of a fear of failure or judgment. And this costs companies billions in really bad decision-making, stalled innovation, and decreased productivity. We built Ballooner, an anonymous collaborative platform that accelerates time to wisdom and creates an idea and feedback meritocracy. Here's how it works. One of our customers, Christine, a product owner at BMW, needs to surface and prioritize feature ideas as part of an upcoming build. So she uses Ballooner and she starts a flight. This one's for feature prioritization. She then invites her team and they'd go together through a special stage flow where they're anonymously creating and launching balloons, which are the ideas, the feedback, the information. They're doing this without anchoring bias, interruptions, or fears. Discussing those balloons without titles, identities, pleasantries, courtesies getting in the way. Completing a merit-based vote without groupthink. And when the flight's done, the results are revealed. So Christine has a surfaced and prioritized list of the top feature ideas. She also has access to a Ballooner score, which gives her information about approval, buy-in. And although Ballooner is anonymous, users are able to remove anonymity and claim their contributions. So people are so motivated to contribute, knowing that they can get credit. Christine shared with us that not only did Ballooner help her surface and prioritize new product feature ideas, but that they also improved customer experience and that she had buy-in and knew that people had been included and heard in the process. Ballooner is used by teams and companies of all sizes across many different industries. These are some of our paying customers. And here are some additional customer success stories. So Capital One identified barriers to advancement and development, saying that they were shocked by the humanness of information shared on Ballooner. The LA Angels improved scouting, and Dartmouth reduced meeting time by 70%, saying that once you use Ballooner, it's impossible to imagine doing things the old way. We're selling SaaS subscriptions. We're landing and expanding. We're at around 250K ARR, projected to hit 500K in late Q4, early Q1 of this year, and a $4 million pipeline, majority of which has been inbound. And the opportunities in front of us are huge. So we're surfacing new, unique, critical data to date, which has been unreachable. So the big opportunity is a platform play, leveraging our true data set. We're a Dartmouth Carnegie Mellon founding team. We've built and designed products for IBM, Bloomberg, even the Dalai Lama. I'm Amanda. We're Ballooner. We're ballooning unreachable knowledge. Thank you so much.
And your weekly metric.
So we have transitioned. So we started outbound at the beginning of the Accelerator. So we were tracking outbound to demo conversion rate. We're now tracking and closing those demos. So we're booking on average one new team, one new customer a week. Yeah.
Great. All right. Feedback and questions.
So, cool idea. I liked time to wisdom as a metric. Interesting. And interested in where all your inbound interest is coming from. It sounds like it's taking off.
I love the idea of this. It's really cool. But question is, how many times is the average user using the platform a day?
I also like the idea. I think that adding anonymity to a service, not just this service, but other services, I've seen a pattern in the industry where that tends to actually open up a lot of possibilities for people. So it's very cool. Kind of similar question I had for the previous startup, which is around your SaaS metrics. So you could dig in a little bit on your ACV, your sales cycle duration. That'd be helpful.
Do you have a competitive landscape slide? I'm just curious because there's other things I've seen to generate good ideas from people within a company, but you seem to have a great product you've developed to do that in a great way. I'm an investor in Thumbtack. I know they're happy.
I like your outbound to demo conversion rate because my question is like, and maybe more qualitative, what are the big hurdle for a company to say yes to installing your product? Like they can start with Google Docs and just, have confidential surveys, but like, so really understanding like what is a hurdle for you to get adoption?
Yeah, along the same lines, what do your customers pay you per user? I wasn't quite sure. And then the other tools that they're currently using, either to accomplish other things where this could come in and be part of that tool, or if this will always be a standalone solution.
2 minutes. Okay, I'm ready. Cabe, in terms of that inbound interest from earned media, pitch events, customer references, et cetera, just very much expanding. This is obviously like a ubiquitous, untapped market and area, so there's tons of use cases. People are always encountering this problem. Alex, in terms of like average use, so we see on average, like across our customers, like 2 to 3 flights a month. Each flight has multiple touch points within each team and customer. And then typically like they surface all that information, they implement, they move forward, or it's part of an existing workflow. Ed, in terms of those SaaS metrics, so sales cycle ranges from 3 to 6 months, but with this outbound and really getting really specific about our persona being like VP, director of line of business, we're seeing 30 to 45 days to close. We also haven't rolled out self-service yet, so we're anticipating a much faster sales cycle. In terms of ACV, we're expanding, landing and expanding. So we average 7 months time to expansion with an over 400% increase in both ACV and seat count at point of expansion. So we might start at like a 6K pilot or annual contract and then expand to like a 40 or 60K contract from there. And then of course, longer scale whole company. Jed, in terms of like competitive landscape, so I don't have a slide for it here, but we very much like see ourselves as a replacement for antiquated, like just old school innovation products that don't work. They don't actually get through the #1 barrier to innovation, which is political hurdles. What are those different barriers, those fears, all these things that get in the way, all these different group dynamics. So we see ourselves as replacing that, but also just use all these different ways within a company, much more bottom up, innovating in like areas that are more core to business versus like large scale idea piece. Biggest hurdle to get to say yes. So one of the things that we find is that people just, they experience this problem every day, all the time, but they don't even know that there's a technical solution to it, that you could really solve it. So once they know that they can solve it, they're very quick to, intro to other teams and then close from there. Juan, I'll get to you afterwards, but thank you so much. Amanda, Ballooner, thanks.
Great. Round of applause for Amanda. All right, let's do the awkward turnaround again. Grab your name badge, flip around. We'll do, I forgot again. It's not a habit. Yeah, it's new. You're more than welcome to give a 4th place vote, which will count for 0 points. But yes, you're free to give that. For time, let's just do quickly the 3 and 2, and then we'll talk about why number 1. Flip that around when you have a second. Juan, are you ready already? Yeah, take a second, no worries. If Juan's ready, we can get your 3 and number 2. You ready? All right.
Number 3 for me is a Grin.
Right.
I've experienced some of the I've experienced some of the issues communicating back and forth with influencers, and it seems like you're probably the only one really tackling the communication problem. I've seen a bunch of marketplaces, and then number 2. I like Ballooner. I want to know the answer to my question later. But it's an issue that's very present in our company, and I want to be able to, I think it's present all over, so I think it's pretty big.
Great. Frederic, you ready?
Yes.
Great.
Number 3 is Loop. I know it's something that can be replaced by an Amazon or Facebook in the hardware space, and then they have the adoption, but I really like the family aspect of it. I know I use WhatsApp with my family, and being able to push content to your family that way is great. In my family, we have actually a magazine that we contribute to, and we mail to my grandma like a magazine every week. So I think there is something to be said about keeping in touch with your family. Number 2, I have Green. I think that it's something where I think this is something that exists already, but the way you answer the question and you presented the product, you make it super simple and super straightforward. So I like the simplicity of how you approach that problem.
3, I have tribal metrics. I actually think if implemented right, that's a really good idea. And then 2, I have Ballooner for similar reasons. Just, they're similar companies, kind of, but going about a different way. But I love if you can really generate the best ideas from people without some of the noise or garbage that goes along with it, and have the best ideas rise to the top. That's going to be really valuable to those companies.
So number 3 for me was Taffy. I hope I pronounced that right. Liberating the healthcare data. I've seen another player in the space, and they actually got venture-backed. So there's at least one proof point out there that the space is interesting from a venture scale perspective. Number 2, I put down Grin. I kind of like the answer about how there's a conflict of interest for these marketplaces to provide CRM software that protects the privacy of the customers. I'd be curious about whether that argument could stand the test of time, whether they could somehow convince their customers that they could keep it private at their option. But assuming that they can't, then I think you might have something here.
I have like an honorable mention 4, which I know is like not official, but I'm an investor in a competitor, so I can't actually. I just feel conflicted, but I did want to recognize Penny Prop. I like the market is there, and it's a very impressive growth, and that's good for 0 points. That's great. Anyways, my 3 was Brian Loop. I think it's an awesome product, and while you got feedback from some of the panel about the hardware, I actually like that there's that hardware piece, and you're tackling it. I'm not saying people didn't like it, but I actually think you should keep going with that. And then separately, consider like the corporate use case. Like just that seems kind of maybe it's not on brand and not in your demographic, but it's a thought.
Yeah, number 2 as well, please.
And my 2 is Amanda Ballooner. Hey. Really like the advise a ton of teams, and like the dynamics that you're tackling are really, really important. And I think we've seen a lot of anonymity in like the consumer side, but not really as much in enterprise. So I think it's exciting what you're doing.
Gabe?
My number 3 is Tribal Metrics. I thought cool name. I like the sales model, and performance reviews do currently suck. They're really bad. So definitely room for improvement there. Number 2 is Ballooner. I thought Amanda was just a killer brand ambassador, really presented it and owned that really, really well. I like the language surrounding the company, and I think that the outcome could be really meaningful.
Great. Score update. Tribal Metrics and Loop have 1 point each for 3rd place. Grin with 2.5, and leading right now is Ballooner with 4 points, but they've burned 4 votes already. Gabe, your 1st place.
Grin.
All right.
So I thought Brandon was super clear on what he's trying to build. I think you conveyed that really, really well. And I think, this once you get your name out there, this is obviously, it's not like you're going in there and trying to displace some old existing product. Nothing exists right now. So your barrier to entry to get these deals going is much lower than I think a lot of other companies are.
Grin, Brandon was my number one. Definitely impressed with like the product that you built based on what I saw, and to the extent that you can actually build for the influencer too. Like I don't know if you talked about that, but I think it'd be very powerful. You kind of end to end own that space.
Great. Ed?
Number one for me was Ballooner. There's just a lot to like about this business. The fact that you've reduced your sales cycles to 30 to 45 days for like a 5-figure ACV deal is interesting. If you can get that up to 6 figures, I think this becomes a much more interesting business. So I think that's kind of like the next step for the company is how can you add value to the product over time. But I think with the logos you have, Google, Airbnb, Thumbtack, you've got a really good starting point for a company.
Great. Jed?
I picked Loop. Although, well, first of all, let me say, I hate when I get group texts from anyone in my family where there's like 10 people on it. My phone vibrates all day long. It drives me insane. So there is a bad need for someone to get this right. There's some competition out there. I highly encourage you to get out of the hardware business as soon as you possibly can and put all of your mental energy into the software and just get us millions of customers before anyone else comes out with anything competitive, and work across all platforms of all the devices people are going to have in their kitchen. You don't need to build your own device. Use your brain power elsewhere.
I agree with that. My only WhatsApp that is on silent is my family one, because they're all in France, and I get it all throughout the night when there is a heated conversation. I get awake. And so my first one is Ballooner. I think that it's very powerful. It's something that will help with getting the voice of people who are afraid to express their ideas to be voiced, and also, most importantly, it helps with diversity and inclusion, and really surfacing that, all voices can be heard and all ideas can be heard, and that is actually something that the company feels very strong about and will align in terms of values. So it's not just a tool, but also a mindset and attached to values. So I really like that.
I was in between two companies, but I think Loop did a great way of showing the actual problem. It's something that I experienced myself. I think there's other things that you could do for the family. Like, for example, moms want to know what their son across the world is up to, right? Maybe scheduling, or families that live together, scheduling as to who picks up the kids, et cetera. So I think there's more opportunities within the software.
Awesome. So in third place today, Loop with 5 points. Second place was Grin with 6.5, and winning today with 8 points was Ballooner. Round of applause for them. One more round of applause for our judges. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll take a 10-15 minute break again and come back for a final talk for the night.